Good morning. I'm Caitlin with Wiregrass Daily News, and I am here with Miss Kendall, Director of a production coming up at SEACT, and then Miss Jennifer, who is the Executive Director of SEACT. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So tell me a little bit about the upcoming production. What's it called?
It's called Alabama Story.
Mm-hmm.
We will be presenting it next week, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And we're excited to be here to tell you a little bit about it.
I'm excited to hear about it. So tell me, what is your biggest role? Oh, speaking of roles, you are actually in Alabama Story, aren't you, Jennifer?
Yes, I play Emily
Emily.
in Alabama Story. This is historical fiction, and it is based off of a real couple of people. The state librarian, the Alabama state librarian in 1959, excuse me, who basically had the state budget and libraries were threatened at that time by a particular state senator whose name has been changed, but the character represents an actual person who was unhappy with a title that was in the collection, and it was a children's book called The Rabbit's Wedding. And so the entire story revolves around this actual thing that happened at that time. But the playwright, Kenneth Jones, has built out the story to include additional characters that really reflect the times. During that time, it was really, we were building up toward the era of civil rights. And so there is a Black man and a white woman who are invented characters, but they meet after not seeing each other for many, many, many years. And hearing about their reunion and the times that they remember and some of the times that they don't remember really fleshes out some of the things that were happening at that time. And it reflects back what is happening with really the persecution of this little children's book.
Wow. That sounds like that's going to be a pretty moving play.
There are moving parts. There's a little bit of humor. It's not a comedy, but the way the characters are introduced and the development of those characters and the relationships between the characters are very compelling. It's a very compelling story.
Wow. Is that your direction as the director?
Well, I would say first you have to look at the script, and
Right.
It's amazing. Even if you read the story, which we did a year ago, we did this as a reading to present it to the community. And I had 6 actors on stage, and they literally just read through the script. It has some direction to it, but even if it's just read without any direction, as in blocking you on stage, it was still an amazing story to hear. And based on that, then the board of SEACT said, let's do this as a full production next year. And I was lucky enough to be the director of this show.
Yes. So tell me again, when is the opening? Is it opening night?
Opening night.
Okay.
The production runs April 24th through the 26th. Thursday and Friday night, the show is at 7 o'clock. Saturday, we will have a 2 p.m. matinee. It runs about 2 hours. There will be an intermission.
Mm-hmm.
And tickets are available at our website, seact.com, SEACT.com.
Well, this sounds like a really amazing production.
I had a sneak preview for a couple of my friends that I invited them to come in because I knew they weren't going to be able to see it next week. And they were just blown away by it. One of them knew something about the show and the other one didn't. And they both thought it was really compelling and entertaining. So that gave me a lot of confidence going forward that we're going to be able to present something to the community that they're going to enjoy. They're going to walk out going, wow, I had no idea that happened in Alabama.
Well,
and that it ended up being
yeah.
Something that the entire country got wind of because different publications, the New York Times, Look Magazine, Life. Oh gosh,
LA, there was LA Times.
They all picked up on this story of this senator wanting to suppress this children's book, which is about two rabbits getting married in the forest.
In the forest.
It's meant for 3 to 7-year-old children.
Well, and the playwright himself really learned about the story because of the librarian's obituary, which had been
Yes.
published, I believe, in the New York
In
Times.
the New York Times. He's originally from Illinois, I believe, but lived in New York and had been writing plays. And he said that he goes through the obituaries on a regular basis just to try and find interesting stories.
Right.
And this one focused on Emily Reed, who was the actual librarian, state librarian in Alabama for 2.5 years. And as he looked into that obituary, it started telling about this controversy that happened in Alabama in 1959. She died in 1988. But it was compelling enough that he started doing research, and there was a lot of material for him to be able to look into.
Yes.
With all of these other publications talking about how crazy this was.
Wow. Where was the original play?
The first showing of the play actually happened at the Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery.
Oh, you're exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we went to see the production in Pensacola a couple of years ago, I believe. That is, it's not always the path for a SEACT show, but Kendall came across this story, and SEACT really only functions because the community takes an interest and gets involved.
Right.
There's really not a committee of SEACT people that are making all of the decisions. It's really somebody like Kendall who comes to the board or comes to my office and says, this is a really compelling story. Is there a path that we can take to actually mount this? And so more and more, we are doing some things like dramatic readings, which would just be a set of actors on stage reading through a script to kind of see what the interest is. The feedback was incredible on this particular story. And then you get enough people on board who believe in the story and want to tell the story.
Yes.
Especially for something that maybe the average person hasn't ever heard this story before. But when you learn about the author and the librarian and the history and the ties that it has to Alabama, that can make it something worth coming to see.
Yeah.
And what makes SEACT so special is that we do take community involvement seriously. And then we do the best that we can to put on, we're an amateur organization, but we have professional standards in terms of the lighting that Kendall is working on, the props, the newspapers. I have a Montgomery home news newspaper that I'm using as a prop that is, from that era.
And it has the reproduced page that shows this senator holding the book in 1959. So she's really looking at what was reality then.
Wow.
And then we put the show on, and it's free to participate. All of our main stage auditions are open to anybody, like Bobby, who just walked through the door and decided he wanted to be in a show and auditioned. And
Is this who we were just talking
It
about?
is.
Yes.
It is.
Oh, his story is so interesting.
I love that.
I had no idea during auditions who several of these people were in the audience, and he got up and he read, and he was certainly good enough for me to think, well, he might be a good particular character, this older senator in this story. And then after I cast him, I find out that he was an FBI agent for 25 years.
Wow.
He was an assistant district attorney. He had been a law clerk in the 1970s for Bill Baxley, who was the attorney general at the time, who prosecuted the first person who bombed the 18th Street Baptist Church So he has all these connections. And in addition to that, he's on the Headland board or library board. So I just thought, this is just unbelievable.
He's perfect.
He fell into our lap and we didn't even know it. Plus, he's great in the role that he has. So,
Mhm.
So this is the person that you were saying has never really been in productions
never
before,
been in
and
production.
he landed the leading role.
No, he's not the
Okay.
leading role. He has a small role, but it's pretty significant. There are only 7 roles, so 1 out of 6. That's
Every line is
I was
important.
well.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask how many actors are
Yeah,
performing.
there are 7.
7. Okay.
And really, every line you think, there's a reason he wrote that line.
Mhm.
And you have to look at it and think, well, how is this supposed to be presented? So as you're directing someone like Bobby, who has never done acting before, you want him to think about who is he
Mhm.
as this person,
Really
rather
come into
who
that
am
role.
I
Yes.
now? How would I
Mhm.
say it? But you have to think about all the people that he is communicating with in the play. So he's done an amazing job, as has Jennifer, who really has the lead role as the librarian,
Emily.
Emily. And then there are others really significant roles like Chris Manasco, who is a pretty well-known actor and director here in Dothan. He plays the role of the author of The Rabbit's Wedding. So this was a person who had been an illustrator for many of the really well-known books in that time frame, Charlotte's Web and Stuart Little and Little House on the Prairie.
So he also wrote The Rabbit's Wedding?
Yes, he is
Yes.
a real person that is being
Mhm.
depicted in the play.
And
Well-
he kind of serves as a narrator of this.
I was going to
kind
ask,
of
is he more of a
looking-
narrator, like looking over?
Yes,
the
what is
production?
happening with
Yeah.
this book in my world?
Mm.
But he ended up having over 80 books that he contributed either illustration or he wrote and illustrated. In this case, he wrote and illustrated this book.
Wow. Wow. Tell me, okay, I'm getting tickets.
Great.
Thank
I'm getting
you.
tickets to come see this. Where can I get tickets again?
Tickets are available at SEACT.com, SEACT.com. People are also welcome to contact the office, 334-794-0400. We don't have a full-time receptionist there, but tickets are $25 a piece. I would say if you have any interest in the history of Alabama, the history of our country, really, and just a good story. This is a good story that really general audiences will enjoy.
Great. That's so great. My
Have we
husband
piqued
just
your
told me-
interest?
You have piqued my interest, but my husband was just telling me the other night, he was like, we need to go on a date night. And I was like, I agree. So here we go. This is perfect. Dinner and a show.
It is a great date night, as I would say most SEACT productions are. This production closes our main stage season for this year, but I would love to come back and talk to you about our new season when we introduce it in May,
Yes.
if you'll have me.
Yes, of course. And as we were saying before we started recording, I'm interested. I'm interested in auditioning.
Auditions
for
are open to the
something.
general public.
Oh, we would love to
It
have
is always
you.
free to participate at SEACT. We would love to see you.
And it exposes you to so many people that you would never have met before. It's such a great experience to be part of a production. And you end up having a completely new circle of friends, like another satellite in your world of friends you can count on.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to me about this amazing show that's coming up. Tell me again the dates. It's
Alabama Story is on stage at the Cultural Arts Center, April 24th through the 26th. There are 2 productions, Thursday and Friday at 7, and the final production is 2 o'clock on that Saturday.
perfect. Well, thank you, Kendall.
Thank you,
and thank you,
Kaylin.
Jennifer.
Thank you.
I'm so excited to see this show. And thank you for coming this morning.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.